things off at number 10, Andrew Garfield.
Whoa, Andrew, relax, man. Whoa, what happened?
Andrew Garfield is another celebrity who's just had it with the paparazzi. While out with actress Emma Stone, the pair were spotted by paparazzi and they swarmed them while they were trying to pull their car out of a driveway. Since the photographers gathered around their car, they couldn't move without risk of hitting them, although I don't think a lot of celebrities would mind seeing that happen. I'm joking. Anyway, Andrew got frustrated with the paps and swarming their car, so he got out and stood in front of the car, making a pathway for Emma to pull the car through. After getting a little way through the crowd, he got back into the car just for the photographers to gather back around the vehicle. Frustrated, Andrew gets back out of the car to clear a path and then gets back in the car only for the paparazzi to gather a third time. At this point, Andrew gets out, slamming his door, and yells at the paparazzi to get out of the way, and finally gets into the car and speeds away. Paparazzi clearly need to get better at listening to these stars, because when they don't, they get mad and then they act like it wasn't their fault when it clearly was. At number 9, Tyra Banks.
This is not, be quiet, Tiffany. Be quiet! That's what is wrong with you. Stop it!
I think that one of the most memorable meltdowns from reality TV has to be from America's Next Top Model when Tyra yelled at contestant Tiffany Richardson. It was her famous "We were rooting for you" freakout that has stuck in my head for all of these years. The incident happened when Tyra was frustrated with Tiffany's behavior over the last week of competitions, saying that she was disconnected and was trying less than all the other contestants. When she got eliminated and didn't seem fazed by it, that's when Tyra flipped her lid and started on her famous freakout, saying, quote, "Be quiet, Tiffany, be quiet. What's wrong with you? Stop it. I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells like this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?" Tyra really wanted to see Tiffany succeed, but instead she watched the model burn out and fall apart. Tyra was honestly just fed up with Tiffany and her indifference towards the competition, and I guess she just couldn't handle the frustration anymore. In at 8, Alec Baldwin.
You have insulted me. You don't have the brains or the decency as a human being. I don't give a damn that you're 12 years old or 11 years old or that you're a child.
Alec Baldwin's nasty freakout at his daughter Ireland back in 2007 really just tops the list of things you should not say to your kid. This incident comes from when he left his daughter a voicemail telling her how angry he is that he took time off from his apparently very busy schedule to call her, just for her not to answer the phone. In the voicemail he said, quote, "You don't have the brains or the decency as a human being. I don't give a damn that you're 12 years old or 11 years old or that you're a child or that your mother is a thoughtless pain in the ass who doesn't care about what you do as far as I'm concerned. Once again, I've made an ass of myself trying to get to a phone. You've humiliated me for the last time with this phone." He also went on to call his daughter a pig. Yeah. This long, angry recording really didn't help the actor's fatherly image, as this came out during the time where he was in a custody battle with his ex-wife over their child. In later years, Ireland has come out to say that the things that he said to her on the phone hurt her in a permanent way. Now that was one serious freakout. Coming in at number 7, Cardi B. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj have been rivals for some time now. As they're both big name female rappers, there's bound to be some tension between them, but a lot of this tension came to a head at a New York Fashion Week party that ended in a brawl between the two women. The altercation started after Cardi approached Nicki about alleged lies that she'd been spreading about her. Nicki had also allegedly stepped on Cardi's dress, causing it to rip. There were also reports that Nicki had said something about Cardi's daughter culture. There were shoes being thrown, wigs being snatched, and it ended with Cardi being escorted out by security barefoot with a torn dress and a bump on her head. Later on, Cardi took to Instagram to speak on the incident, saying that it was Nicki's comments about her daughter that really pushed her over the edge. When Mama Bear comes out, the claws do too. At number 6, any of Gordon Ramsay's freakouts. Gordon Ramsay is known for his freakouts. Between his freakouts on Kitchen Nightmares and Hell's Kitchen, he's done a lot of screaming and shouting in his day. Ever Every single one of his on-screen meltdowns are honestly just so entertaining because of how aggressively mad he gets at some of these people. And don't even get me started on the name calling. The idiot sandwich? Classic. Calling someone a donkey? Even better. Gordon is the king of freakouts and the king of insults, and what makes it even better is the fact that even after yelling at all these people and insulting them and their work, he's still a very highly respected chef. I mean, he really doesn't seem that scary unless you piss him off. But his talent in the kitchen combined with his charisma outside of the kitchen, you can never really cancel Gordon for his behavior because that's just what makes him who he is. Halfway through at number 5, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf has had a few outbursts in his day, including his famously aggressive "just do it" bit, but the one I'm gonna tell you guys about was just so uncalled for. Back in 2017, Shia had a bit of a freakout at a bowling alley of all places, and I'm guessing that it was just chalked up to him being hangry or something because our guy Shia freaked out over some french fries. While at a bowling alley, he went up to order some french fries, and when he was refused, probably because he was being so aggressive, things got out of hand. In a video captured of the incident, you see Shia behind the bar yelling at one of the bartenders about his french fries, and the bartender was holding a large bottle of Grey Goose vodka as a sort of defensive tactic. It looked like he was really about to smack the actor with the bottle if he got too close, you know? Well, this made Shia even angrier and even took him to the point of angrily yelling that the bartender was, quote, an effing racist, even though both of them are white. After being escorted from the premises, Shia kept saying that they effed up and demanded that someone call the police, even though it was completely unnecessary. There are those who were there that night that said that the actor was drinking a lot that night and that his outburst was probably fueled by his alcoholism, something that the actor has dealt with in the past. Coming in at number 4, Kim K. Sometimes it's the spirit of the holidays that brings family together, and other times it tears them apart. The latter seems to have been the case with Kim and Kourtney over their holiday photo shoot. Viewers of the reality show Keeping Up with the Kardashians watched as Kim freaked out at Kourtney over her demands regarding their photo shoot. Kourtney was being uncooperative when it came to the scheduling of the photo shoot, saying that she'd only work for a certain amount of time, and this conflicted with everyone else's time, and Kim really just lost it on her. Kim began yelling at Kourtney, saying, quote, maybe if you had an effing business that you were passionate about, then you would know what it takes to run an effing business. No one wants you in the photo shoot, and she even called her sister the most uninteresting to look at. Harsh, Kim. Even after Kourtney stormed out of the room, Kim kept up her frustration, yelling to her mom and sister about it. I think it's safe to say that Kim really blew her top on this one. At number 3, Kanye West. Kanye West has had a long history of freakouts and meltdowns, but this one is probably one of the most freakouts I can think of, and it comes from his interview with Sway Calloway. During his time on Sway's radio show, Kanye got into a very heated argument with the radio host over merch. During the interview, Kanye spoke out about his frustrations with the fashion industry and his creative freedom when it comes to his brand. He said how he's experienced a lack of support from people who he's collaborated with, and then Sway suggested that Kanye just fund his project himself, and then that's when things got ugly. Kanye seemed to have gotten angered by Sway's suggestion and then proceeded to yell, quote, you ain't got the answers, Sway, you ain't got the answers, over and over and over and over again. Watching videos of Kanye's freakout, he was so frustrated. He almost looked like he was going to cry, honestly. After the interview, footage of Kanye's outburst became a meme, and some even remixed his screaming into a song. But the bottom line here is that Kanye was super upset by this interview. At number 2, Justin Bieber. Would this list really be complete without mention of Justin Bieber and his many outbursts? No. In one of his more notable freakouts, we saw him lunge and try to attack paparazzi. While leaving a hotel in March of 2013, paparazzi were waiting outside looking for the singer, but they seem to have gotten a lot more than what they bargained for. As Justin tried rushing into the van that was waiting for him and his team, he began getting yelled at and insulted by paparazzi. Angered, Justin lunged out of the van and tried fighting the paparazzi, and as the photographer egged him on, Justin just got more and more enraged, to the point that his team had to hold him back from the photographer. The two just yelled and swore at each other until they inevitably drove away. I really think that this photographer purposely made Justin mad just because he knew that he'd get a rise out of him, and that would just make for a good story. During this period of time, Justin was known for his outbursts and troublesome behavior, but egging someone on just to get a good shot, that's just plain disrespectful. Finally, at number 1, Britney Spears. Probably the best example of a celebrity freakout has to be Britney Spears and her umbrella incident. This came from a very troubling time for Britney in 2007 after shaving her head and getting 2 tattoos. The umbrella incident came about as she was swarmed by paparazzi at a gas station. As this was already a weird time for the pop star, the paparazzi were really out there trying to look for big news with her, and boy did they ever strike gold that night. After being surrounded by photographers, Britney went to her car, got an umbrella, and started smashing a photographer's car with it, and it actually caused quite a lot of damage. Through her yelling, profanities, and her violent outbursts, the cameras caught everything, and the images have been living on the internet ever since, reminding us of her troubled past. At number 10, Chris Brown. I think that after the Rihanna incident in 2009, our perception of Chris Brown changed, and we now see him as someone with a bad temper. Well, coming out of that night in 2009, Chris sought to change his image, but I'm not quite sure it worked. In 2011, Chris Brown was a guest on Good Morning America and sat down with Robin Roberts for an interview to discuss his new album and to perform a song from said album, but during the interview you could see Chris getting pretty mad at Robin after she kept asking him about his altercation with his ex Rihanna. During the interview, as Robin would stray off topic of Chris's album and would begin referencing his incident with Rihanna and how that affected him, Chris kept trying to get her to stay on topic of the album. It obviously enraged him so much talking about Rihanna and Robin not staying on the topic because Chris had a meltdown after his time on air had ended. He performed a song, then stormed off stage to his dressing room, and it was then that he took off his shirt, threw a chair at a window, which caused it to smash and send shards of glass falling down to the street below, and then he stormed off. He missed the rest of his scheduled interviews and appearances that day and just kinda had a meltdown. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, I just want to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on the video because it really helps us out. At number 9, Samuel L. Jackson. Not only has Sam L. Jackson had it with these mother effing snakes, he's also had it with these mother effing reporters. During an interview in 2014, a TV news anchor mistook Samuel L. Jackson for Lawrence Fishburne, and his reaction was both intense and a little funny. The news anchor started off their interview by asking the actor about his Super Bowl commercial, but soon after he was corrected into realizing that the commercial was from Lawrence Fishburne and not Samuel. In response to this apparently very common mix-up, Samuel told the news anchor that he is not in fact Lawrence Fishburne, and then goes on to say that though he and Fishburne are both successful black men, they are not in fact the same person. I'm pretty sure he was just joking in this bit, but it was still pretty intense and probably made the anchor feel pretty embarrassed. At number 8, Tom Cruise. Sometimes love can overwhelm a person. When you're really infatuated with someone, you want to shout it from the mountaintops and apparently jump up and down on Oprah's couch. That last one pertains to Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2005, and at the time when he and actress Katie Holmes had just begun dating. Being a talk show host, Oprah obviously had to ask Tom about his new relationship and fed into the audience's amazement with the actor. Tom already being super hyped up by the audience's energy and also some kind of stimulant like coffee or started getting really jazzed about talking about Katie. Tom was really out there. He jumped on the couch a few times during that interview, and he was all smiles and laughs and was really just freaking out about his love for Katie Holmes. I really don't know if his reactions during that interview were genuine or not, but it was still a wild little freak out that he had there. At number 7, John Lennon. I don't know about you, but when I think about John Lennon, I don't normally think about getting beaten to a pulp by him. I mean, I don't know much about the guy in general, but he just didn't really seem like the violent type. Well, apparently he kind of was. John Lennon had a serious freak out at Paul McCartney's 21st birthday, which resulted in someone getting absolutely pummeled. The altercation started when Lennon was confronted by someone suggesting that there was some kind of romance between Lennon and Brian Epstein. See, John and Brian had taken a holiday together just prior to this party, and there was speculation that they were lovers because Brian was gay. John hated the rumors surrounding him and Brian, so when this person brought it up, John kind of snapped and ended up beating this guy up so bad. He was hitting him with a large stick and gave him a black eye and a couple of bruised ribs. Lennon later recalled thinking that he could have killed this guy in the moment, so he was very obviously filled with rage. At number 6, Orlando Bloom. Orlando Bloom had kind of a freak out at a high-end restaurant in Ibiza, which resulted in a fight breaking out between the actor and Justin Bieber. According to witnesses of the altercation, Justin, who had not been dining at that restaurant, came in allegedly looking for trouble, and he sure found it. Apparently what went down was as Justin approached the table where Orlando and Leonardo DiCaprio were sitting and said something about Orlando's ex-wife Miranda Kerr. This obviously made him angry and raised tensions in the restaurant. Justin began walking away, but Orlando came chasing after him, jumping over a couch before catching him and trying to throw punches. They began fighting one another, and other guests at the restaurant, including other celebrities, started cheering until the fight was broken up and Justin was dragged out of the restaurant by security. It is thought that Orlando got so mad at Justin because he was saying some derogatory things about Miranda, so just to add salt to the wound, Justin ended up posting a bikini picture of Miranda to his Instagram the next day following the brawl, but he ended up taking it down shortly after. At number 5, Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers is a funny, sassy, and mostly cheerful woman. She said herself that she was put on this earth to make people laugh, but that doesn't mean she doesn't get angry. Joan is relatively patient when it comes to the press because she knows to take what they say with a grain of salt, but there came a moment where she was so upset by an interview that she just stormed out. This happened when she was being interviewed by CNN about one of her books. During the interview, the reporter started off by asking about Joan's book and her life, but then the questions turned and became a little more negative and judgmental. The reporter started commenting on Joan's comedy and suggested that her words can be a little shocking and rude, and then she goes on to comment about the fact that Joan was wearing fur on the cover of her book. This got Joan mad and she kinda just went off on the reporter. You could really tell that Joan was just fed up with this interview, and so she stormed out. Following the interview, CNN tried to reach out for a comment or even to pick up where they left off, but she declined. At number 4, Sean Diddy Combs. I'm not a parent, but I can understand the need to protect your kids and defend them no matter what. If someone is hurting your kid or if they're being treated unfairly, you're gonna want to step in and do something about it. Well, celebrity parents are just the same, and sometimes things can get a little out of hand. Sean Diddy Combs was ready to square up with his kid's football coach because he was unhappy with how his son was being treated. When I first read about this, I thought it was a case of Diddy chewing out his son's little league coach or something, but oh no. This case was a little more extreme. A lot more extreme. His son was the defensive back for the UCLA football team, and Sean didn't just have any choice words with Coach Sal Alozzi. Oh no, he actually hit the guy with a kettlebell. Sources say that Sean walked into the locker room to speak with the coach, words were exchanged, and then things got heated, leading to the rapper throwing the kettlebell of undisclosed weight at the coach. Diddy ended up getting arrested for the brawl and faced 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count of making threats, and 1 count of battery. Now that's a freakout. At number 3, Russell Crowe. Actor Russell Crowe had a bit of a temper tantrum at a New York City hotel, which resulted in him getting arrested. In 2009, Russell was staying at the Mercer Hotel in Soho when he got into a fit of rage. This happened after he failed to call his wife, who was in Australia at the time. He was trying to make the call from his room but couldn't get through to his wife, and so frustrated, he went down to the lobby to confront the concierge. According to sources, Russell and the concierge got into a verbal altercation as the actor lost his temper and hurled a phone at the man behind the counter. The assault resulted in the concierge sustaining cuts and severe pain on his face. The actor was arrested and charged with 2nd-degree assault and 4th-degree criminal possession of a weapon, the weapon being the phone. He had a total meltdown that day in the hotel, and I'm sure that's something that the concierge will never forget. I hope his face is okay though. At number 2, Gary Coleman. The late Gary Coleman had a successful career, but he also faced some scrutiny surrounding his suspected and alleged domestic altercations with his wife. Before his death, he was asked about his domestic issues during a number of interviews, and though he denied ever having laid a hand on his partner, that never stopped people from prying. Being suspected of abusing others made him very upset, and we definitely saw this during an interview on The Insider. During the interview, Coleman was being grilled about his place in the media and the allegations that he'd been facing, and as he continuously turned these allegations and scrutiny down, the interviewer just kept on pushing until Gary snapped and began yelling at them, calling them names, and saying some other less than nice things. After being grilled and getting increasingly angrier, he stormed out of the interview. Though they tried calling him back, he was just too furious to return. The clip that I showed you was just a small bit of Gary's freakout, but the rest isn't too nice either. But if you want to check out the rest of that interview, go check it out. There's some foul language in there. At number 1, Solange Knowles. The famous Solange versus Jay-Z elevator battle was pretty famous. It's something along the lines of the plot of Batman v Superman, just with the celebrities instead of the superheroes. The freakout fight battle to the death even took place at the 2014 Met Gala, and though it took place about 6 years ago, we still have no clue what provoked the fight. Some speculate it was because of a cheating scandal, and others think that it could be about money, but really, there's no confirmed reason as to why the fight broke out. All we have to analyze is this surveillance footage that was leaked to the internet that got this whole drama started. In the footage, we see Solange and Jay-Z begin what looked like a verbal disagreement, which turned into a physical altercation. My guess is that Solange was just standing up for her sister and sort of flipped out on the rapper. Either way, it was dramatic and intense.
In at number 10, Vanilla Ice. Way back in 1999, before Jon Stewart was the host of The Daily Show, he was hosting a program on the set of MTV called MTV's Lane 25. On the show, the host would typically make fun of different music videos that had already aired on MTV, and then they would destroy the tape. I don't know why, it was just their thing to do. On one episode in particular, rapper Vanilla Ice came in at number 9 with his song Ice Ice Baby. The rapper was in the studio at the time of the criticisms, and he was planned to take to the set with a baseball bat and break the tape of his own song as per MTV's request. However, things didn't exactly go as planned. The jokes and comments must have really started to bug Vanilla Ice because he didn't just break the tape. Vanilla Ice took that baseball bat to the entire set, smashing everything and scaring everyone in the process. Luckily, he was able to bounce back from this meltdown by reinventing himself as a DIY superstar on different home improvement networks. How ironic would it be though for MTV to call Vanilla Ice and have him build them a new set? That'd be pretty great. I'd love to see that. In at number 9, Robert Downey Jr. At this point, it's pretty common knowledge that RDJ had a history of drug addiction, but what most people don't realize is that his issues all began at 6 years old. His father was a filmmaker and drug addict who gave his young son a joint to smoke at the age of 6. Downey claims that he was surrounded by drugs as a young child and often used drugs as a way to bond with his troubled father. He believed that when they did drugs together was his father's way of expressing love for him in the only way that he knew how. He nearly ended his acting career though after being arrested several times for possession of cocaine, heroin, and marijuana use before spending a year in prison in 1999, which meant the cancellation of several acting jobs. Director Jodie Foster even caught him doing coke on the set of her movie called Home for the Holidays. She begged for him to get help, but Downey would continue to spiral out of control. After struggling even more with drug abuse between 2001 and 2003, Downey finally was able to kick the habit through a combination of the 12-step recovery program, meditation, yoga, and martial arts training. In at number 8, Alec Baldwin. It is a well-known fact that actor Alec Baldwin has gotten into trouble several times after his interactions with the paparazzi. There's no doubt that these creepy photographers do invade the personal space of celebrities, but that being said, violence has never made them leave you alone either. Baldwin has been at the center of several cases where he was accused and literally photographed physically attacking photographers. The first accusation was in 1995 when he reportedly punched a paparazzi so hard that he broke the man's nose. However, in all of these incidents, Baldwin was never charged. Baldwin had another crazy meltdown on an airplane after a flight attendant asked him to turn off his phone so that they could take off. The actor made a big stink and even tweeted more about his meltdown, saying, "Flight attendant on American reamed me out for playing Words with Friends while we sat at the gate not moving." That is a meltdown indeed when it ends up on Twitter. In at number 7, Nicolas Cage. Back in April of 2011, Academy Award winning actor Nick Cage was arrested in New Orleans on 1 count of domestic abuse and 1 count of disturbing the peace. According to the local police, Cage was witnessed arguing with his wife in front of their home around midnight. Police say that Cage grabbed his wife by her upper arm and dragged her towards their property. He then apparently began to strike cars in the immediate vicinity and even attempted to jump into a taxi when the police arrived. At that point, the police immediately observed that Cage was heavily intoxicated, and so they ordered him out of the cab, which prompted Nick to start yelling. Cage allegedly started yelling, "Why don't you just arrest me?" to the police, which is exactly what happened next. However, even though Nick was taken into custody and charged, his wife apparently did not want him charged and said that there was no actual physical contact between them during the fight. Regardless, still a meltdown. In at number 6, Tom Cruise. It was the couch jump that truly rocked Hollywood and a side of the action hero Tom Cruise that we had never witnessed before. In short, it was a meltdown over passion for his newest love interest, Katie Holmes. At the time, Tom Cruise was one of the biggest celebrities in America, and he was already an established leading man with roles such as Top Gun and Jerry Maguire under his belt. He was appearing on the Oprah Winfrey Show though to promote his upcoming movie, which was Steven Spielberg's remake of War of the Worlds. However, instead of staying on script to his promo material, he could not stop gushing over his new girlfriend. Within 15 minutes of the interview, Tom had leapt onto Oprah's couch as Oprah struggled to find the words for his over-the-top infatuation. I think she just kept yelling, "He's gone. You're gone. This guy's crazy." In the moment, it was this very heartwarming thing to see though, but in hindsight, people watching that clip, maybe through a GIF or just a series of photos, it looks like Tom is acting at a school for an interview, so by all accounts and without hearing the audience's reaction, this was categorized as one of Tom's biggest TV meltdowns, but he was just really happy. In at number 5, David Hasselhoff. We all remember David Hasselhoff from his time on Baywatch, but in 2007 it seemed as though the Hoff had hit rock bottom. The weird part was that his daughter apparently filmed the whole debacle that ended up airing on the news. In the video, David was clearly drunk and apparently a little hungry. As he lay shirtless on the floor with his eyes beginning to shut, he does his best to pick apart a burger and feed it to himself, but the whole time he's doing this, Dave is just babbling in a drunken tone while falling over onto his food. In the video, you can actually hear his daughter Taylor begging him to grow up and even say, "You need to promise me you're not going to get alcohol tonight, okay?" Apparently Hasselhoff had asked his kids to film him anytime he falls off the wagon, I guess so that he can look back on it with shame and get his house in order. What a weird thing to make your kids do. In at number 4, Russell Crowe. Back in 2005, Russell Crowe was in Australia to promote his film that he had coming out. Shortly after 4 o'clock in the morning, Russell was having a difficult time trying to call his wife. So with his room phone not working, he went down to the concierge to use theirs. Crowe then got into an argument with the concierge, which led to him picking up the desk phone and throwing it out of anger and frustration. Unfortunately, in the process of doing this, the phone actually struck the hotel worker in the face. He was then arraigned on charges of 2nd-degree assault and 4th-degree criminal possession of a weapon. By the way, the weapon was the phone that he threw. The Oscar winner then pled guilty, and the judge gave him a conditional discharge, which essentially means that he can't be arrested in Australia ever again. In at number 3, Michael Jackson. That is the king of pop hanging his baby blanket, yes, the baby's name was Blanket, out of a hotel window, Lion King style. This guy consistently buried his controversies by just manufacturing new ones. He was blasted by everyone online, calling him reckless and pointing out that he could have easily dropped his child in that moment, and here was his vague apology.
Any child. Try to kill them? Come on, stupid. And why would I put a scarf over the baby's face if I was trying to throw him off the balcony? We were waiting to thousands of fans down below.
For someone that was called the king of pop, you would think that he would be able to keep his cool, although these moments clearly show a celebrity that was out of control and in Michael's case, in desperate need of help. In at number 2, Britney Spears. The mid-2000s were certainly not kind to pop sensation Britney Spears. From a bitter divorce to having a very public meltdown, it was only a matter of time before she had her run-in with the law. In 2006, she was driving with her 4-month-old son on her lap when the police pulled her over, which is very illegal, by the way, yet because she's Britney Spears, there wasn't even a fine. Then just a year later, she was charged with a hit and run while also driving without a license. Initially, she was looking at a year in prison for this, but again, she ended up not even spending a minute behind bars. It really is a mystery how she was able to pull herself out of this downward spiral, but what's really concerning is how she managed to escape the law. Fame should definitely not exclude you from the repercussions of doing something illegal. Last but certainly not least, our number 1 spot, Michael Richards. Michael Richards is known for his role as Kramer on Seinfeld. He's funny on that show because he literally had Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David writing for him, the 2 funniest people in the world. Although, when the show ended, Kramer thought that he could just transition into stand-up comedy and be just as funny. Unfortunately, when his set was not going well at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, he completely lost his mind and just buried his career. Someone heckled him, I guess, and then he went on to a tirade by screaming racial slurs and attacking the audience. It was so bad that a large majority of the crowd just up and left the club in the middle of his act. He was never able to redeem himself after this racist rant, and it will serve as a stark reminder that Kramer was never cool.
Every time I see this backdrop, I think about Kramer f***ing up.
With that,
in at 10, Bjork. Oh, Bjork, she has had a rough life. Not only did she have to go through the grueling process of working with Lars von Trier, who she openly hated and admitted to spitting in his face every day, she also had a crazed stalker who ended up killing himself on camera, which in turn was uploaded to YouTube. So you can imagine Bjork would be a little high-strung. Well, back in 1996, Bjork arrived at the airport in Thailand, only to be greeted by paparazzi and reporters wanting interviews. The singer was with her children, and by the time one of the reporters stated, "Welcome to Thailand," she had had enough and began to attack her, knocking her to the ground and striking her repeatedly.
Cool. The British-born journalist was more stunned than injured.
It was not a good look for the singer. Violence is never the answer, but you can also understand a mother wanting to protect her children. Coming in at 9, Vanilla Ice. Remember Vanilla Ice, the one-hit wonder who blessed us with Ice Ice Baby? Ice Ice Baby. Well, he must have known his 15 minutes of fame were coming to an end back in 1999, because he accelerated his demise when he appeared on the MTV Lame 25. Prior to The Daily Show, Jon Stewart used to host a show along with Dennis Leary, Chris Kattan, and Janine Garofalo called MTV's Lame 25, where the host would make fun of music videos that aired on MTV's network and then would proceed to destroy the tape. However, on this particular occasion, the Vanilla Ice guilty pleasure found itself at number 9 on the list, so what went down? Well, the rapper proceeded to show up at the studio, as planned, and took a baseball bat to his tape for this song. However, it didn't stop there. He ended up taking the bat to the entire set, absolutely terrifying everyone in the process, something that definitely wasn't planned.
Popcorn for everybody.
sorry about the set there, guys. Well, the tape's fine. What? Everything else is no.
Coming in at 8, David Hasselhoff. It is common knowledge that former actor David Hasselhoff used to battle with alcohol and drug addiction. But things hit rock bottom for the actor back in 2007 when his daughter filmed him in his Las Vegas home on a bender and eating a burger. The Baywatch legend was seemingly as drunk as could be, so he ordered burgers and sloppily ate them on the floor of his bathroom, wearing nothing but a pair of blue jeans. This video is heartbreaking to watch and listen to because in the background you can hear a 16-year-old daughter begging for him to grow up. However, what makes this video interesting is that his daughter was filming him because David had reportedly asked her to if he were to ever fall off the wagon, and that he did. Thankfully, Hasselhoff got sober and is still a pop culture icon to this day, milking appearances and making the odd cameo in bad movies, even the Baywatch remake.
Because if you get alcohol tonight, you're fired from your show tomorrow. And the doctor is coming over here in the morning to check your alcohol level. And if you have any alcohol in your system, you're going to be fired from the show.
Coming in at 7, Michael Jackson. Back in 2002, Michael Jackson was still considered to be one of the greatest pop stars in the world, which is bizarre to me because at that point we all knew what went down at Neverland. But anyway, I digress. In 2002, Jackson was in his hotel room in Berlin, Germany, where there were a ton of paparazzi present outside of his suite. So what did the King of Pop decide to do? Well, he opened up his window and dangled his baby son Prince Michael II over the balcony. The crowd gasped in horror before the singer pulled the baby back and into his arms and went inside. This cemented everyone's belief that Michael Jackson was losing it, both professionally and personally, with the singer spending years following defending his bizarre actions. Coming in at 6, Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback to Hollywood was major news when he was cast as Iron Man in Marvel's first film in the MCU. It was huge for the actor who had openly struggled with addiction for years, even spending some time in jail, and even being fired from his sitcom Ally McBeal after being arrested for trespassing into a neighbor's property. He has an entire list of criminal things he has done in his past, so you can imagine he wouldn't be keen on talking about them, especially when he's promoting a huge blockbuster movie that is essentially salvaging his career. Well, the folks over at Channel 4 clearly didn't get that memo, with them probing the actor, asking him about his bad boy days and even about his relationship with his father before the actor finally reaches his breaking point.
And I just wondered whether, you think you're free of all of that, or whether that's still something.
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
Well, I'm just asking questions.
Walking out, stating, "Sorry, it was just getting a little Diane Sawyer-y." Shots fired. Coming in at 5, Charlie Sheen. Back in 2011, Charlie Sheen gave a somewhat questionable interview on The Today Show about his firing from the CBS sitcom 2.5 Men. He discussed his recovery from addiction, but appeared completely erratic and unhinged while doing so.
Abusing alcohol. It's their show.
Epic behavior. After reading about that, then they observed the guy hitting every mark, nailing every line, every joke.
Not only did he make the word winning iconic and somewhat of a meme, but he also coined the phrase tiger blood, which is apparently what's running through his veins. Of course, as we know, Sheen was fired from the show for bad-mouthing the creator Chuck Lorre, which he discussed in this very strange interview, making the bold claim that his passion is often perceived as anger. Dude, there was nothing passionate about your remarks. Get a grip. Coming in at 4, Kanye West. What could he have possibly done? Well, I think you know. And if not, well, you're in for a treat. Back in 2009 at the Video Music Awards, folks were happily in their seats watching on as Taylor Swift was announced as the winner for Best Female Video for her work on You Belong to Me. She was happy, others were happy, however, not everyone, and certainly not Kanye West, who had to express openly on the stage how unhappy he was. Kanye took to the stage, grabbed the award and the mic from Taylor's hand, stating, "Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'll let you finish, but Beyonce has one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time." The room went silent, everyone was cringing in discomfort, and of course, the camera cuts to Beyonce, perhaps cringing more than anyone. Kanye then left the stage, forcing Taylor to have to deal with the cleanup. Thankfully, Kanye was booted out of the award show for his antics, which resulted in the "Is Kanye okay?" trend that circulated around the internet for a while. Meanwhile, Taylor was crying backstage. But hey, at least she won. Coming in at 3, Shia LaBeouf. Everyone loves Jerry's Deli, is one of the greatest places to grab a sandwich in downtown LA. However, back in 2017, it seems Shia LaBeouf went there for an entirely different reason. He was having a few drinks, until those drinks became a few too many, and when Shia asked the bartender for some french fries, he refused. The actor proceeded to call the server the N-word, but it didn't end there. These racist tirades happened once again, but this time when he was pulled over in Georgia, with Shia proceeding to tell the officer, "You're going to hell, Straight to hell, bro. Both incidents negatively impacted Shire's career, with it becoming public knowledge that some casting directors are too scared to hire him because they don't know what they're going to get. Coming in at 2, Christian Bale. Remember the film Terminator Salvation? Yeah, me either. But apparently it was a thing that happened and we all seemingly missed it. For the best, probably. Well, anyway, back in February 2009, while on the set of this god-awful movie, Christian Bale had a little hissy fit. During one particular scene, a director of photography entered Bale's field of view while he was filming. So, what did he do? He shut it down, stating, "What the F are you walking right through? What the F is it with you? What don't you effing understand? You got any effing idea about, hey, it's effing distracting having somebody walking up behind Bryce in the middle of the effing scene? Give me an effing answer. Why don't you get it?" Yeah, that happened.
What don't you get about it?
I was looking at the light.
Oh, good for you!
Lesson number 1, if you ever find yourself working alongside Christian Bale, don't walk into a shop. Don't even look his way, better yet just leave the building and don't return. Although I will give it to Bale, he had his entire meltdown while doing an American accent. I applaud that. And finally, coming in at number 1, Tom Cruise. Of course, could anything possibly top Tom Cruise's infamous and crazy interview back in 2005 on the Oprah Winfrey Show? No, definitely not. Back in 2005, Cruise was on the top of the world, promoting his newest film, The War of the Worlds, directed by Steven Spielberg. However, things didn't go quite according to plan during his interview with Oprah, who proceeded to ask him about his relationship with actress Katie Holmes. Cruise clearly couldn't read the room because he proceeded to stand up on the sofa and jump up and down, spouting out his love for Holmes. Now, the audience cheered along, but most viewers were uncomfortable and a little scared. Following the incident, his public image took a hit, with Cruise coming off unstable, with folks focusing more on his Scientology beliefs and his bizarre antics.
Number 10. James Corden and Patrick Stewart. A video of their onstage beef at the 2010 Glamour Awards resurfaced online recently, and it's the definition of awkward. Patrick Stewart and James Corden were presenting an award together when the X-Men star suddenly decided to call out Corden on stage for his disinterested attitude towards the ceremony. Quote, "When the presenters are up here and when the recipients are receiving their award, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets looking around as though you'd wished you were anywhere but here." James was super caught off guard at first, and so was everyone else in the audience. Obviously embarrassed, he shot back with, "If I looked like that, I'm so sorry. But when you come up and present an award, just effing get on with it." The situation got even more cringy. Stewart did not move on and actually brought up Corden's weight, saying, "From where I was sitting, I can see your belly." And that was there over at the back of the room. The spat continued back and forth for a few minutes, but it was so uncomfortable to watch, it felt more like hours. Number 9. Cardi B and Asia Davies. On the after show of Love and Hip Hop New York, host Nina Parker asked cast member Asia Davies a question about her relationship with fellow co-star and ex-Swift. But before Asia could respond, Cardi sent a heel flying in Asia's direction, a signature move we all now know too well. Cardi then demanded that Asia admit that she had an issue with her. Quote, "You judged me because I was a stripper, say the truth." It was immediately clear why the two had been positioned so far away from each other. After trash talking her for a bit, the artist was ready to throw down again with Asia. In fact, Cardi needed a whole team behind her to keep her from laying hands on her rival. But the rapper may have been right in this situation, because Swift admitted that Asia did not respect Cardi because of her past. He allegedly had to explain to her several times that she was no longer a stripper, she'd moved on from that and is now making music. So when Asia refused to answer the question about why she didn't give Cardi a chance, her rival went into full attack mode. And what ensued is the televised disaster that you can still watch to this day. Number 8. Daniel Bregoli and Iggy Azalea. Perhaps the strangest beef we have ever seen, these two definitely deserve a spot on the list for the explosive altercation they had in 2018. Daniel Bregoli, otherwise known as Bad Baby, went after the Australian rapper Iggy Azalea at a Hollywood party and tried to attack her, and even threw a drink on her. TMZ caught the whole incident on camera, and you can clearly see that Danielle was ready to pounce, because the second she saw Iggy, her cup went flying. The then 16-year-old had to be held back by her own security, and the crew got between them as Iggy calmed down and walked away from the scene. Although Iggy left the area, the Dr. Phil star kept running her mouth about how much she hated the 28-year-old. The beef apparently started because Iggy talked smack on social media, saying who would even go to one of Bad Baby's shows. When fans questioned why Iggy just walked away from the situation, she said, quote, "I get that this little girl has made a name for herself acting a damn fool on television and online, but I'm a grown-up. I'm not about to waste my energy on that or be fighting a kid in a club." Number 7. Stephen Amell and Cassandra Jean Amell. The couple have been married since 2012 and all seemed well in public until it didn't. The star of CW's Arrow and his wife got into an altercation on a Delta flight from Austin to Los Angeles that ended up with the actor having to be forcibly removed from the flight. Stephen was reportedly screaming at Cassandra while they were seated on the plane and appeared to be intoxicated when a flight attendant asked him to calm down multiple times. When the fight escalated to the point of no return, the actor had to be restrained and removed by an air marshal and 3 flight attendants that worked together to get him off the plane. His wife did not go with him and instead chose to remain on the flight. Big surprise there. With the incident made public, Stephen took to Twitter to try and explain the whole thing and claimed that his emotions got the better of him. Quote, "My wife and I got into an argument. I was asked to lower my voice and I did. Approximately 10 minutes later, I was asked to leave the flight and I did so immediately. I was not forcibly removed." The whole thing was really absurd because if they needed 4 people to get him off the flight, something about his side of the story just doesn't add up. Number 6, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Before the former couple split, their relationship was clearly becoming strained, as The Sun reported that the same year that Jolie filed for divorce, they were spotted in Legoland having a major public spat. Onlookers told the magazine that both stars didn't look happy and looked stern-faced, and photos from the incident show Brad actually grabbing Angelina's arm while she pulls away and appears to be screaming at him. The couple filed for divorce in 2016, citing irreconcilable differences. Now the actors are both learning to co-parent their 6 children after years of custody battles and child support drama. According to Daily Mail, Brad has even been seen visiting Angelina's house to spend time with his kids, so it sounds like they are back on good terms.
Number 5, Channing Tatum and Jenna Darwin. While it seems to be a trend of couples meeting on the set of movies and getting together and becoming couples, Channing Tatum and Jenna Darwin were no exception, as the pair started dating shortly after they worked together on the iconic dance movie Step Up. Although it looked like things were going extremely well for the pair, they would show the world that there were signs that things were off for months before they announced their divorce. Jenna would even open up about the couple's last months together in their relationship in her book. This is when she would claim that the two were only hurting each other by staying together. Also leading up to the couple's divorce, the couple were often seen sharing words out in public before heading out and getting snapped by the media in several photos. And after the public arguments, it would seem like Jenna would rather look at her cell phone than talk to Channing. Number 4, Blueface and Krishan Rock. Lately it seems like Blueface and his girlfriend Krishan keep making headlines for all the wrong reasons. If you've been online for the past few months, then you probably have seen the viral videos and tweets of the rappers going viral with the rise of the couple's reality show Crazy in Love. However, while some users view the relationship as entertaining, I think we can collectively agree that their relationship is pretty toxic, as we have seen the two enter into some pretty concerning altercations. The problem with the two is not only that the relationship is dangerous, but it's also harmful for the immediate parties around them. While it seems like Krishan is the main reason behind the couple's toxic relationship, she would go into an interview to come out to address the public's concern about her relationship by saying, "We're just here learning, figuring things out. We met each other how we met each other, but that's it." However, now that Krishan has announced her pregnancy with Blueface, things are only going to get more messy going forward, and that's what is the most concerning part for their fans watching. Number 3, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman. Like any couple, it's no secret that Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman have endured their fair share of issues throughout their relationship. After all, Keith has used some of their disagreements as inspiration for his songs. While the couple often tends to keep their disagreements away from the media, back in 2016 when Nicole was captured giving her husband a look that no husband wants to see, the internet would go into a frenzy while they tried to figure out what happened. The confrontation would happen when they were at a movie premiere. Insiders will then tell the Daily Mail that things took a turn when Keith got upset over the couple's very busy schedules, as they had spent the year apart. Apparently, Keith wanted to return to Australia to be with their family, but Nicole, on the other hand, was just really sick of Keith sulking about them being apart, and she just wanted him to be with her and support her career. Number 2, Rihanna and Chris Brown. Back in the day, Rihanna and Chris Brown had a relationship that made us all raise our eyebrows. Eventually, during their relationship, after headlines started to show that Chris got into a physical altercation with Rihanna, he would eventually be arrested and charged, and eventually the stars would also call off their relationship relationship. Just before, the couple was at a pre-Grammy party when they started arguing in a car. Later, Rihanna would then open up about the altercation in an interview with Diane Sawyer. There, she would claim that their altercation started after Rihanna saw a text from a girl on Chris's phone. Rihanna then said that she knew he was lying and that he knew he had nowhere to turn. However, Rihanna would then go on to note that there had been warning signs that something bad was going to happen long before the incident. Apparently, the more the couple fell in love, the more they both started to realize how dangerous they were for another. Today, Rihanna has used her experience to help other young women going through similar situations. Number 1. Mia Goth and Shia LaBeouf. Just before Mia Goth and Shia LaBeouf decided to split, they had quite a habit of getting caught on camera having these really public fights. Just before the two started dating, Shia actually met and fell in love with Mia Goth on a set of their movie, and eventually they decided to walk down the aisle. While the couple has now gone on their separate ways, they were involved in some pretty high profile and public fights while they were in Germany. In a viral video in 2015, the two could be seen screaming at each other. The footage in that video would then show Shia walking away from the scene and getting into a car as he explains that he didn't want to hurt Mia. Then a source would confirm that apparently when Mia tried to talk to Shia again, he would then respond to Mia by saying he was being pushed and he didn't want to be aggressive.
Number 10. Nigella Lawson and Charles Saatchi. The couple's fight was witnessed by a photographer who stumbled upon celebrity chef Nigella Lawson being choked by none other than her husband, Britain's most high-profile figure, Charles Saatchi. The incident all went down during her birthday lunch, and a now infamous photo was captured of the chilling sight. The photographer, who only went by the name Jean-Paul, told Vanity Fair in 2013 that when Charles grabbed his wife's throat, quote, "It was so violent, with such force that her head snapped backward." The story hit the tabloids at full speed and actually served to open up a much-needed conversation about domestic violence. Their relationship was obviously far from perfect, but the intense controversy that the incident sparked was enough to tear them apart forever. That same year, Charles filed for divorce from Nigella after 10 years of marriage. Funnily enough, he later told the Daily Mail that putting his hands on her throat was merely a gesture, and insisted that there was no pressure applied to her. Yeah, right. Number 9. Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphries. Their 72-day marriage had certainly shown signs that it was going to end quickly. A few days before Kim divorced Kris on day 68, the couple was spotted arguing in their car while out on a dinner date in Hollywood. The newlywed couple were photographed heading back to Kim's car after dinner, and you could visibly see the tension in the air. Kris looked fed up, and Kim was giving her new husband the death stare while yelling and waving her hands at him as the argument began to escalate. This very public fight was indicative that their relationship was on the rocks, because that same year Kim went on to file for divorce and got the marriage annulled. The Los Angeles Times even reported that Kim had only married him to increase ratings on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. The best part was that Kris asked for a $7 million divorce settlement from his ex-wife. Otherwise, he threatened to make her endure an ugly public trial. But the NBA star ended up walking away with literally nothing. Number 8. Emma Roberts and Evan Peters. The American Horror Story actors first met on the set of Adult World in 2012, and in the short 4 years since then, the two have shared more drama than some of Hollywood's biggest blockbusters. Toxic doesn't even begin to describe their relationship. We're talking about at least 3 breakups and deleting all social media traces of each other. Early on in their relationship, TMZ reported that the two got into a heated argument while staying at a hotel in Montreal that ended up with both stars getting physical. When police arrived, Peters was found with a bloody nose and bite marks on his body, prompting police to take Emma into custody, arresting her for domestic violence. But her then boyfriend decided not to press charges, and they were back together a few hours later. What's really bizarre is that a couple of days after the fight, photos were shared online of Emma clinging to Evan while sobbing into his arms after news broke of the fight. Paparazzi were even able to capture the two hugging one another, with Emma looking extremely upset the whole time. The incident was a bit of a grey area, but many have labeled it as straight up domestic violence. Number 7. Kanye West and Sway Calloway. In a now famous episode of Sway's Shade 45 radio show in 2013, Kanye expressed his frustration with the corporate structure of the fashion world. He was venting about the lack of support and creative freedom from the big fashion houses he's reached out to or collaborated with. But when Sway asked Kanye why he doesn't just fund it himself, things took a hard turn. Kanye got very riled up and said, quote, "How, Sway? You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. I've been doing this more than you. You ain't got the answers." In the week since the interview was broadcast, a number of hilarious internet memes hit Instagram, Tumblr, and Twitter. The fiery interview resulted in almost 9 million streams on YouTube to date, and countless memes poking fun at the exchange. But Sway said that despite how things played out between him and Kanye, he has no hard feelings. Quote, "It got really intense, I will admit to that, but everything that Kanye said, I think it's true. In fact, I believe in everything that he's trying to do, and I think we should all listen to the message." At least he was able to put it behind him. Number 6. Dakota Johnson and Ellen DeGeneres. This one was not exactly a fight, but it went viral because Dakota was one of the only celebrities to call out Ellen DeGeneres for lying on her own show. Ellen has done so many shady things on her show and got away with it just because she was hosting, like when she forced Mariah Carey to admit that she was pregnant. But in 2019, the talk show host brought Dakota on and started whining about how the actress never invited her to the birthday party that she threw. She probably expected her to get flustered and profusely apologize, but instead she said, quote, "Actually no, that's not the truth, Ellen. Ask everybody. Ask Jonathan, your producer." Dakota revealed that she had invited the host to her 30th birthday party and even called for witnesses, while Ellen denied the accusation. Finally, off camera, someone affiliated with the show confirmed that Dakota was right and that Ellen had been out of town and couldn't be there. This obviously made her extremely uncomfortable and she tried to manage the situation, but she was clearly caught in a lie, and the resulting awkwardness was darkly satisfying to watch. T. Nelson and Jake Roche. When the former couple arrived together at the album release party for Little Mix's Get Weird in 2015, they were supposed to be in high spirits for the event, but the evening soon took a turn for the worst as somehow it ended up with Jessie crying. It was reported that Jessie allegedly had a massive fight with her then fiance before she decided she had had enough and stormed out. A source told the Daily Mirror newspaper that the girls had been having a great night, drinking and even dancing on the tables the whole night until the early hours. But somewhere around the AM, Jessie and Jake had a tiff, and Jake stomped off to a nearby hotel, and Jessie was clearly sobbing and she took a cab home. The singer was spotted leaving the venue in London and hopping into a cab in the early hours of the morning with makeup smudged around her face and eyes bloodshot after the fight. The couple announced their split the following year, so it looked like in this case the fight may have been indicative of a larger issue in their relationship. According to reports, the reason they split was because Jessie wanted to start a family, but Jake, who was only 24, felt that he was too young to be a father and that they had the rest of their lives to have children. Number 4. Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. Their infamous on and off again relationship was definitely not free from arguments, and some of them were caught on camera. Right before Selena and Justin got on a plane to Paris, they got into a huge fight while at Princess Juliana International Airport in St. Martin, and unfortunately it looked like a massive one. In the video, we see Justin and Selena sitting in their car outside the airport in St. Martin before their Paris flight. Selena storms out of the car, walks into the airport by herself and throws her bag on the floor. Justin didn't immediately follow her, instead he chose to sit in the car for a little bit, which probably made her even more mad. When he did enter a few minutes later, she was chatting with a fan that had a baby, and Justin came over and they silently walked to their flight. You could tell both of them were equally frustrated, but in 2014, this was only one of the many public fights that the couple would go on to have. In fact, after their romantic trip, they went to Paris Fashion Week, which led to more arguing because Justin reportedly went to dinner with Kendall Jenner and partied with her at the same party that Selena was at. She flew out the next morning alone, leaving Justin in Paris, and then deleted him off Instagram. Number 3. Johnny McGade and Courtney Cox. These two are also known for their on-again, off-again relationship, and after getting back together once again after a brief split, the actress and her musician boyfriend were seen arguing outside a West London restaurant and appeared to be exchanging heated words as they dined outside during Courtney's visit to the British capital. In one shot, the former Friends actress can be seen waving her arms and phone in front of Johnny's face, while in another she looks frustrated as she held her head in her hands. Not long long after, she gave her then fiance the silent treatment before getting to her feet to leave the restaurant. For some background, the pair have been engaged, unengaged, and living separately for the majority of their relationship, even though they've been together for 7 years. And so this argument really fueled rumors of more relationship problems. The argument was reportedly about the couple planning their nuptials when they started fighting about the finer details, and insiders told reporters that the couple couldn't agree where they would live, as Johnny supposedly wanted to move back to the UK and Courtney wanted to remain in LA. Number 2, Christopher Hivju and Guy Mulvert. If you forget about Season 8, Game of Thrones was really an epic TV series that took over the world as soon as Season 1 hit, and made several of its stars household names. Norwegian actor Christopher was one of the stars who appeared in the series over the years, but it was his public fight with his wife, Guy, who is a photographer, that really got people talking. They say that redheads are known for their temper, so it seems like these two are really perfect for each other. The couple were spotted having a heated argument as they were shopping in Los Angeles, as Guy had reportedly been looking for a new dress. No one really knows what the fight was about, but onlookers claimed that their argument lasted for over an hour and escalated very quickly. During the fight, you can see the actor raises his hands in the air in frustration, while his wife, who looks incredibly distraught, has her eyes to the ground the whole time. The fight continued before they both stormed off. Just goes to show you how celebrities are normal people too. Number 1, Shia LaBeouf and Carolyn Foe. Yes, he is back on the list because the actor has a seriously extensive track record of public spats. Shia LaBeouf is fairly well known for his outlandish behavior, where he frequently just takes it way too far by getting kicked out of a performance of Cabaret or being arrested for public drunkenness in 2017. But this fight dates back to 2012, when he and his then girlfriend Carolyn were caught fighting on camera and having a tearful exchange on the side of the road in LA. It was then that rumors started circulating about the extent of Shia's involvement in the sex scenes in Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac, which were reportedly real. So naturally his girlfriend would be upset. She did not seem too thrilled that her actor boyfriend Shia had shared an intimate scene with his co-star in the movie. But Carolyn was pretty quick to deny the fight, telling the New York Daily News, quote, "It's none of anybody's business. Everything is fine with us. It was nothing affiliated with this movie." Although that might be true, clearly something had caused the couple to have a public screaming match on the side of the road in broad daylight. And just like that, in November the same year, the couple had officially decided to split for good. Number 10, Kirsten Dunst and Garrett Hedlund. This is a great way to start off the list because even though this public fight was embarrassing, it seemed like the couple were able to shrug it off relatively quickly. We're going to talk about the epic couple fight that happened way back in 2012 between actress Kirsten Dunst and her on-the-road co-star Garrett Hedlund, who just recently started dating at the time. Although the actors had plenty in common and things started going well initially, cameras caught the couple having a major argument on their way to a movie theater, which was so intense it looked like it was about more than which movie they were seeing. It looked like something had sparked a pretty big fight as the pair continued to hurl insults at each other on the way. Whatever happened in the car that day, it was probably just a petty argument because they ended up dating for another 4 years. And in 2015, Kirsten said, quote, "We're the same age, we have similar backgrounds, he feels like family to me." But sadly, like most other good things, the relationship came to an end in April of 2016. Number 9, John Mayer and Jessica Simpson. If there's one thing that Hollywood knows by now, it's that John Mayer is a bit of a playboy. His reputation as a womanizer definitely precedes him, so that's why everyone at one point was really surprised to see him with Jessica Simpson. He raised eyebrows when he used the phrase sexual napalm to describe his romance with Simpson, and even compared her to a certain illicit substance that he said he couldn't get enough of. The couple dated for a year, but they broke up several times throughout their relationship. In fact, sources close to the couple told people that things were always on and off between the pair, and they had arguments constantly. Unfortunately, 2006 marked the year that they decided to finally split for good. The couple was on vacation in Mexico when there were photos snapped of them arguing on the balcony of their room. Jessica looked like she was in tears, and it was undoubtedly a breakup. The news of their split came shortly after the photos were released, meaning there's a good chance that the paparazzi actually captured the moment when Jessica and John called things off for good. Number 8, Adrienne Maloof and Sean Stewart. Apart from their almost 20-year age difference, it seemed like there were a myriad of other issues that plagued the brief relationship between Rod Stewart's son, Sean Stewart, and former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast member Adrienne Maloof. The couple split up after having a blowout fight on the red carpet. According to eyewitnesses, the duo arrived separately, and Adrienne walked the red carpet with an even younger man, 24-year-old Jacob Bush. TMZ spotted the pair fighting next to the red carpet at the charity event, which definitely marked the end of their on-again, off-again relationship. The argument between them got heated, and Sean could be seen storming off, telling his ex, "I'm done," when her date tried to approach him. Stewart later claimed to Brandi Glanville on her podcast, quote, "I do want to clear up one rumor. She never broke my heart." But when it came time to explain the bizarre public fight, the reality TV star only told Star Magazine, quote, "I have a lot of changes going on in my life. I went through a period of darkness and I am much happier now than ever. Things are good."
At number 7, we have Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck. Before Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck decided to go their separate ways, the world was pretty shocked to learn that their marriage was anything but perfect. While there were plenty of rumors in 2015 that suggested Ben had been unfaithful in their marriage with the family's former nanny, after the couple returned home from vacation, a fight would break out shortly after, and this is when they dropped their 3 children off at school. Onlookers would then tell In Touch that Jennifer and Ben were in their SUV when things started to get a little out of hand. They even started to claim that there was lots of gesturing through it all, and the photos and videos captured, you could see Jennifer crying. This is when people started to believe that Ben was making it clear that their marriage was over and that he was going forward with the divorce. Number 6, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. At one point in time, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were Hollywood's it couple, and you couldn't turn around without seeing them mentioned somewhere in the street. But it seems like after the couple filed for divorce and went their separate ways, they have been hitting headlines for some pretty serious accusations. Before the couple ultimately decided to part ways, they would be spotted at Legoland in Windsor, and they would be spotted coming off this ride with their children, and the couple could be seen getting into a pretty serious argument where Brad would be shown touching Angelina's arm before she pulled away and decided to shout in the actor's face while they were in public. The people who captured the photos then said they saw the couple again later, and they looked like they were still arguing sometime later.
Number 5, Chanel West Coast and Charlemagne the God. Radio host Charlemagne the God was a guest on a 2017 episode of MTV's Ridiculousness. As viewers witnessed, the pair got into an explosive argument after Charlemagne called Chanel a whack rapper and told the show's audience that it was good if they've never heard her music. But Chanel had clearly had enough, because she said, quote, "Lil Wayne, who co-signed Drake and Nicki Minaj, is the same person who co-signed me. I won a BET award with Young Money." She proceeded to name the people that she's had songs with and told the radio host, "You don't know my musical track record." The moment was pretty awkward because although she successfully stood up for herself, there was clearly a lot of tension in the room. Chanel later opened up to Life and Style about the incident, quote, "He's kind of rude all the time, so I felt like I needed to stand up for myself. A lot of people, I don't think, get the chance to do that with him. I mean, good on her. Most people would have done the same thing if he was attacking their career." Number 4, Will Smith and Chris Rock. Will Smith shocked fans, viewers, and Chris Rock when he walked onto the stage at the 2022 Academy Awards and slapped the comedian across the face, then casually just walked back to his seat. The incident occurred while Rock was introducing the award for Best Documentary and joked about Jada Pinkett Smith's haircut. It was then that Smith silently got up on stage, walked over to Rock, and slapped him across the face on live television. Then, in what seemed like his very first attempt at damage control, Will gave a teary apology during his acceptance speech not long after the slap occurred. Quote, "I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. This is a beautiful moment and I'm not crying for winning an award." Smith took home Best Actor for his role in King Richard, but the shocking moment has not only got him banned from the Oscars for 10 years, but has already cost Will several projects, although he is reportedly planning a comeback with a sequel to I Am Legend. Number 3, Miley Cyrus and Nicki Minaj. The onstage spat at the 2015 VMAs between Nicki Minaj and Miley Cyrus was probably the most shocking and talked about moment of the night. While receiving her award, Nicki took the opportunity to lash out at the host. Quote, "Back to this bee who had a lot to say about me the other day in the press. Miley, what's good?" Miley was taken aback for a second, but she managed to save face and said that interviews get manipulated all the time, and congratulated congratulated her. Producers were able to censor the curse words, but a beep doesn't really block out our lip reading abilities, and it's clear that Nicki dropped the F-bomb a few times, while Miley continued talking. Nicki later told New York Magazine about the moment and said, quote, "I saw Miley just looking at me with her face screwed up and I thought, what the?" But she also said it was deeper than that. Nicki was upset that the former Disney Channel star was using black culture as a means to reinvent herself and shed her good girl persona, while at the same time being ignorant about the issues facing that community. She did have a good point because Miley has since ditched hip-hop in favor of rock, which I think suits her a lot better. Number 2, Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. At a New York Fashion Week party in 2018, Cardi declared a full-on war against her longtime rival Nicki Minaj. She approached Nicki while she was sitting at a table with her crew and was looking for a fight to address the lies Nicki was spreading. According to eyewitnesses, Cardi said, "Let me tell you something," before she lunged at Nicki. But security was 2 steps ahead and stopped her inches from contact. One of them even elbowed her in the face. Because Cardi couldn't get close enough to attack, she pulled her signature move and threw her shoe. But she missed her target. As for Nicki, she clearly wasn't worried, and eyewitnesses say she didn't even flinch. Cardi was then kicked out by security and left the building like Cinderella with one shoe on her foot. About the incident, Cardi later said, quote, "When you mention my child, you choose to like comments about me as a mother, make comments about my abilities to take care of my daughter, is when all bets are effing off." But Minaj fired back on her Queen radio show, quote, "Get this woman some effing help. This woman's at the highest point in her career and she's throwing shoes." Fans were pretty divided over the attack, but Nicki seemed to come out as the winner simply because she didn't really engage. And coming in at number 1, Birdman and the Breakfast Club. American rapper and record executive Birdman got into a now infamous face-off with the hosts of the Breakfast Club, the Power 105.1 morning radio show in 2016. Birdman came in fuming mad and repeatedly told the host to stop playing with his name while he was confronting the group. DJ Envy even tried to get him to sit down, but the tension in the room at that point was through the roof, probably because the radio show had been discussing the rapper's various controversies for months prior to his appearance, claiming that he didn't pay artists and that he made bad business deals with Lil Wayne. It was clear that Birdman had had enough. He then said the words that would birth a new meme for years to come. "When you're saying my name, put some respect on it." While the Breakfast Club watched in suppressed amusement, Birdman then stood up and commanded his crew to leave the studio. The 2-minute clip was a viral sensation and now sits at 21 million views on YouTube. In fact, Birdman was one of the top 10 most googled memes of 2016. The internet couldn't get enough of Birdman's vague threats, and he even made a song about the whole thing that same year.
Starting off our list at number 10 today, we have Beyonce and Jay-Z. Back in January of 2015, Beyonce and Jay-Z had anything but a quiet sushi night as the megastar couple was captured getting into it at Sushi Park Restaurant in Los Angeles. In released photos, Beyonce could be seen yelling at her husband. And later, OK Magazine would then speculate that the altercation happened because Jay-Z's non-stop cell phone use during dinner. However, like many mysteries and the fact that the couple usually tends to keep their private life, pretty private, no one can say for sure what the two may have been arguing about. However, this wouldn't be the couple's first public fight since back in 2014, the couple had an infamous elevator incident that first brought potential difficulties in their relationship to light, and both have explored marital conflict in their albums 444 and Lemonade respectively. But it seems like all is well now as they continue to gush about each other in interviews, and back in 2017, Jay-Z also said he was really proud of the art Beyonce was releasing, and he also noted that she was amazing. Coming in number 9, Emma Roberts and Evan Peters. Just before Emma Roberts and Evan Peters split for good, the American Horror Story co-stars in 2013 were caught on camera while they had a pretty serious physical fight. While it may have seemed at the time that the two were actually a perfect couple in Hollywood, it was anything but perfect. When the two stars started to make headlines after they had a pretty public fight in Montreal, the New York Daily News would then report that the Montreal police had to attend to the scene after people called in a domestic situation. When the police showed up to the couple's hotel room, they would find Evan with a handful of injuries, which included a bloody nose and a bite mark. The police then opted to arrest
arrest Emma on the scene even after Evan chose not to file charges against her. Although Emma was released, the paparazzi would then capture her breaking down when she learned the news had reached the media. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in number 8, Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth. When Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth posed at the LA premiere of the Avengers Endgame in 2019, their red carpet smiles didn't last too long, as the two widely displayed their different styles and tensions between them were pretty palpable. When Miley couldn't stop talking about how she wanted to let her hair down and have a crazy fun night out, Liam was there to support his brother Chris and was hoping to have a fairly chilled evening. And it appears neither of them would end up leaving the red carpet happy at the end of the night, as Miley, did Miley, as she was seen vamping it up for photographers, and her Aussie actor hubby at the time grew increasingly uncomfortable, resulting in the famous duo getting into their first major fight as a married couple. And you could even see Liam at one point on the red carpet telling Miley to behave. After the two then walked off the red carpet, Liam would then angrily accuse Miley of turning the premiere into the Miley show, and once the couple got home, a source would then reveal that they got into a big fat argument. And then jump to the day, Miley wrote a song called Flowers that highlights their relationship and how it was never perfect. And it's been #1 on the billboards for the last 3 weeks, and she even took a jab at Liam in the music video by wearing the suit he wore that night on the red carpet.
Number 7, Bradley Cooper and Irina Shayk. Bradley Cooper and Irina Shayk were one of the power couples in Hollywood. The two dated for nearly 4 years before calling it quits in 2019. However, the two have created many memories which fans fondly remember, even one of them at the famed tennis tournament. Paparazzi caught what looked like a super awkward argument between actor Bradley Cooper and his model girlfriend at the 2016 Wimbledon's men final. In the video footage from that day, Bradley was caught whispering into Irina's ear while she appears to cry and turn her head away from the actor. She appeared to be dabbing tears out of her eyes and then crossed her arms and refused to look at him. In the video, he then went back to watching the tennis and she just sat in silence beside him. While it's not clear why the two were really fighting or what they could have been possibly fighting about, but that didn't stop people online from speculating wildly the way the internet loves to do. Some even suggested that Bradley and Irina were fighting over his ex-girlfriend Suki Waterhouse. Although it feels like you can almost cut the tension with a knife, TMZ later reported that sources close to the couple claimed Irina was simply battling pollen allergies. Well, it really could have been anything. Number 6, Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck. The stars were photographed having a very emotional moment inside a car prior to their divorce. Back in 2016, the pair were arguing in their SUV after dropping their 3 children at school when things started to get really heated. Just looking at the picture that has been circulated online, you can tell that Jennifer was getting very frustrated with whatever Ben was saying, and she proceeded to make hand gestures throughout the argument, probably because she felt like she wasn't being heard. At one point, she can actually be seen breaking down in tears inside the vehicle. But this instance wasn't a one-off, and recently it seems like Ben has a lot of explaining to do. The 49-year-old was caught earlier this year puffing on his cigarette fiercely while appearing to be in another fight with Jennifer on the streets of Los Angeles. The exes appeared to be locked in a heated conversation outside her car just hours after it was revealed that Ben and his now fiancée Jennifer Lopez bought a $50 million home together. The pair rekindled their relationship in April last year, almost immediately after she ended her engagement with Alex Rodriguez. So the timing is definitely interesting. Number 5. Rihanna and Hassan Jameel. The former couple seemed like they were perfect for each other after rumors swirled that the two were engaged in 2017. Although they managed to keep their relationship very private and didn't post many photos together on social media, photos emerged of the two on a trip to Mexico in 2018 that left many fans wondering if they were done for good. The paparazzi captured photos that painted a picture of Rihanna screaming at her former billionaire boyfriend and angrily pointing her finger at him while they were on the poolside. What's interesting about the photos is that in comparison to Rihanna, Jameel looked very calm and almost passive in the argument, which made the whole thing go viral. Because of all the noise online, the singer took to Instagram and posted a meme of a female lion roaring at a male lion with the caption, quote, "When you think you know more about soccer, hashtag World Cup 2018. But even though she had a good sense of humor about the fight, the couple still ended up splitting up in 2020 because allegedly their lives were just too different and it was too hard to maintain a relationship. Number 4. Nicholas Hoult and Jennifer Lawrence. The couple fell in love with each other when they first met on the set of the X-Men movie series and became co-stars. Jennifer played Mystique and Nicholas portrayed Beast. It all seemed to be going well for the pair until they suddenly split in 2014 after dating for nearly 5 years. They did have a really public fight, however, when they were once spotted arguing during a dinner. According to reports, the former couple was at a restaurant together when they started really getting into it. Witnesses claim that the actress was upset about something and even threw her hands into the air at one point. Nicholas apparently also got very frustrated as he started shouting at her. Jennifer had apparently had enough with him and broke down as he stormed out of the restaurant. Seems like it was a bit of a mess, but it's great that the former couple have since been able to move on with their respective partners. Number 3. Simon Cowell and Lauren Silverman. This was not just one explosive fight, but actually several. The lid was really blown off the couple's relationship problems when paparazzi captured photos of them in March last year having a tense argument while walking with their son Eric. According to The Sun, passerbys noticed that the X Factor judge had a face like thunder, and their arguing was so loud almost everyone could hear them. In fact, it was reportedly so bad that Lauren got fed up and had to walk away from Simon, while the former American Idol judge decided to cross the road to the other side to put some distance between them, and he walked the rest of the way on the other side of the street. But that wasn't the first time that the pair had a fight in public. In fact, back in 2013, the couple were seen shouting at each other inside a car in New York City. They were even photographed in the middle of an altercation while sitting in the back of an SBU in broad daylight with their windows down. Simon had his hands in the air and Lauren looked like she was crying. I guess it goes to show you that celebrities really are just normal people. Number 2. Beyonce and Jay-Z. Yes, I'm about to talk about the infamous sushi fight. So in 2016, the paparazzi caught the power couple dining at a sushi park restaurant in LA. And from the photos which surfaced online, we can tell that they really got into it. It showed them having anything but a pleasant sushi date. Beyonce was yelling and waving her finger at Jay-Z while he looked like he was glued to his phone the whole time. They say that it's rude to use your phone at dinner, but even worse, he just seems like he wasn't listening to her at all. The truth is, we'll never know what started the public argument, but it wasn't the first intense fight that they've ever been in. This all took place 2 years after the bizarre elevator fight at the 2014 Met Gala between Jay-Z and Beyonce's sister Solange, when she started attacking him by punching and kicking him in an elevator, all while the bodyguards eventually had to restrain her. It was really quite funny because Beyonce was just standing there and watching it all unfold. The 3 artists did make a joint statement about the incident, which read, quote, "They both have apologized to each other and we have moved forward as a united family." And coming in at number 1, Shia LaBeouf and Mia Goth. The controversial actor Shia LaBeouf has had some seriously messed up allegations brought against him in recent years, but this fight was just so bizarre that it deserves a place on the list. The actor and his former longtime girlfriend Mia Goth, who has recently starred in the horror movie X, got into a heated altercation in Germany in 2015 that was all captured on video. The argument occurred on the streets and got so bad that a few locals had to intervene. Shia was heard shouting, quote, "I don't want to touch a woman, I don't want to hit a woman, but I'm being pushed." He then got into a random person's car and had them drive him to the airport. He later told that same person that if he had stayed there, then he would have taken her life. But they seem to have made up after the fight and even got married in 2016 in Las Vegas, only to split up 2 years later. The relationship was probably a complicated one because in 2020, People magazine reported that the pair was spotted together wearing wedding rings. Hopefully they parted for good because they seem to be extremely toxic together.